Welcome to the RJI Futures Lab, where we help you make your organization more innovative. I'm Ruben Stern. This week, how the Center for Investigative Reporting reaches out to new audiences and measures the impact of their work. Founded in 1977, the Center for Investigative Reporting has become a leader at engaging audiences around in-depth journalism. That includes working together with some innovative partners and building a unique internal system to track the impact the work has on the community. We visited CIR's offices to learn more about how these efforts support an ambitious journalistic mission. To start, we look at how CIR is working to get hard-hitting journalism out to some unexpected audiences.
While most news organizations focus their efforts on social media interactions, CIR is taking it further.
It's a part of our collaboration with Tides Theater in San Francisco called Storyworks. And we've done, I think, about 3 or 4 of them right now, but this is our attempt to take journalism and translate it for a stage to try and attract a different kind of audience.
It's no accident, Mr. Ingram. Someone did this to him.
People who may not read a newspaper or listen to the radio or go online, but may want to go to a play, can come and get the same kind of news and information, but in a format that they may be more engaged with. There was a big theater community that came to our last one, and this was the last one we did was called This Is Home, which was actually Richmond poets performing a larger piece on it was called Subsidized Squalor Was Our Investigation, and that piece drew actually a lot of Richmond community members. So that was general public, there was a lot of young people there, and actually I was quite surprised. A lot of older people found out about it through Chronicle and KQED, who are our partners on the investigation. So it actually attracted, I think, probably our most diverse audience in terms of backgrounds and age groups.
3 weekends, 180 seats, all full.
I think that resonated with people because it was very local. You know, that's people here who live here. They maybe have family in Richmond or they grew up in Richmond. So it resonates with that community. I would love to see other news organizations do this, to talk to another group of individuals like the theater industry, which is also engaged in their community, which is also trying to distribute facts and information in different ways. It's really rewarding to see how those two groups engage with each other because they're trying to get the same mission across. Playwrights are also concerned about, ideas and wrongdoings and justice, and so it's a really exciting opportunity.
When the play ends, the reporter joins the artist on the stage and takes questions from the audience. And this is just one way CIR collaborates with the creative community.
We're continuing our off-page project, which is our collaboration with You Speaks, which is a literary nonprofit based here in San Francisco. And this is focused on the poetry engagement. So we work with poets to integrate them into our newsroom to basically take our journalism and write it from a poetic angle.
This is where rodents and roaches are like family, because we share the same meals, top ramen, cereal.
We really want to find different ways to tell our stories, and people are so interested in telling their own stories in different ways. So I love Off-Page because it takes a medium and kind of rips it apart, but puts it back together in a different way.
As a mission-driven nonprofit enterprise, CIR is especially concerned with the impact of the work they do. So the organization recently developed a system that tracks what happens out in the community after the journalism gets published.
Analytics and page views don't really capture impact when it comes to investigative reporting. Lindsay Green-Barber says it's more important to know how stories change individual lives, and she built a system to track that change.
For each story, the reporter is responsible for entering impact that happens. There's a web form for inputting information, what happened, a brief description. They choose which story it's related to, and there are different categories of impact. So the macro impact is kind of structural change. So a law being changed, someone being fired, a new government policy, or maybe like a city policy. The micro impact is stuff that happens at the level of an individual. So if someone has increased awareness or knowledge about an issue, if someone behaves differently, if they take some sort of an action, anything that happens at the level of the individual. And then the other level that we've added that I think gets left out of the conversation a lot is what we're calling meso, but it's thinking about change at the level of community. So network formation, changes in public discourse, change in discourse within a group or a community.
And a reporter gets an email from someone that says, hey, I heard you on NPR. Like, what an amazing story. I now changed my life because of this. That goes in the tracker. We put that in as that's a pretty big impact. Somebody, heard us, looked us up to email us, and then did that. That's pretty big.
Capturing how CIR stories are picked by other media and taking surveys before covering a story and after are just some of the techniques that help the system track change.
It has some really nice filtering mechanisms, so I can filter out by topic or by date, by story, by type of impact. So, if I only want to look at what laws changed as a result of our reporting last year, I can set those filters, and then the resultant list will give me only those instances.
We have had an ongoing series of stories that we've done under the banner Returning Home from Battle, and that started with some coverage that Aaron Glantz, our veterans reporter, had done about the disability benefits wait times. People are waiting 2 years for an answer. We helped local outlets do their own stories. We put together a big map that included all of this data, allowed people to localize it themselves, and then also fed their stories back into that map. This meant that every member of Congress was getting bashed in their own home state. And all of a sudden, the whole conversation started to change. So then when Lindsay, our fellow, put this all through her sort of software algorithm, she could see how people's conversations started to change. And the most telling thing was that this was an issue that President Obama had talked about very early in his first term, had continued to talk about our treatment of the nation's veterans. And disability had not been one of the things he was talking about. Then he started to talk about it, and then he started to talk about not just we're making a change, but we've slid back and we need to do something about this now. We could really see that over time and how the actual vocabulary changed, which is fascinating to me. I've never thought about journalism that way, that you would have an impact on what the president is saying.
The beauty of the system is that CIR can constantly get feedback and assess how effective their journalism is. Being supported by donors and foundations, the data is key to prove their work can make a difference.
I think for funders and grantees, there should be incentives to getting enough of a framework together and enough of a data, apparatus that you can make informed decisions in the middle of a grant. Because traditionally, for many years, evaluation happened at the end when the grant was over. So how can you affect behavior change and try a different strategy if something's not working if you don't find out until you're done spending the money on the project? So we could improve significantly performance and do a better job and have greater impact, however you're defining that, by understanding it in the middle of the project, not at the end.
CIR operates on a budget of $10 million. For the Futures Lab, this is Tatiana Daria.
CIR's latest evolution takes collaboration to a new level. The home for CIR's investigations has been relaunched as Reveal and is built around an hour-long radio show and podcast produced with the Public Radio Exchange. The new initiative puts CIR in the driver's seat of delivering in-depth reports from a variety of partners in a new way.
The whole idea is to take what we've done these past, I've worked here for 5 years, so we've built up a large distribution network through other media, and this is actually a direct-to-audience platform that we really haven't had outside of our website. But it's taking all of our partnerships and collaborations and utilizing it for that platform. So a lot of what you're going to hear on the show is not us. It's going to be the Center for Public Integrity, or it could be the Houston Chronicle, or anyone else. So we're really keen on the idea of providing a platform for just great investigative news.
Stories coming out of other organizations that are either text, print, TV, don't know how to do the radio, so we'll help with that, or radio stations that have a good investigative idea but maybe not the investigative people to do it, so we'll help in that way.
We really want to be able to help produce great stories from all kinds of newsrooms. And I think that open collaboration model is part of this next phase, right? We've had a lot of sharing of best practices, but how can we network our resources in a way that really amplifies the good reporting and fills in the gaps that we know that are out there nationally? And I feel like now there's an opportunity to build a voice for investigative reporting that can find a new generation of audience members and fans and committed followers while respecting the really important legacy that we have developed and the relationships that we've managed to sustain, over the last 37 years of our existence.
The radio show and podcast is currently produced monthly, but is expected to become a weekly program starting this summer. You'll find more information about CIR's work along with this video. And that's it for this report from the RJI Futures Lab. I'm Ruben Stern. We'll see you in the future.